I don't know, we'll interview the driver here in a sec.
I wanted to do something different in today's introduction of today's video. This is my 2002 WRX that I was modifying 20 years ago. This is summer of 2002. So I was doing videos with my friends before YouTube was a thing. So I wanted to kind of put this up and appreciate the Boxer Rumble and why I'm installing this new ETS exhaust on the 2022 WRX and why the WRX means so much to me. It is a very big part of my past and my history, and I'm so glad to have this new car. So let's get into today's video. Hey, good morning YouTube. In today's video we're going to be installing the rest of the 22 WRX exhaust. So we did the axle back last video. This is the mid pipe, so it's got the Y pipe with the resonator from ETS. So I want to set you guys up on a tripod. Let's go ahead and let's unbox this, and I'm going to compare the weight of this versus the stock. We're going to also measure the diameter. I want to see how much bigger the piping is over the stock, and then we'll compare a couple different sound tests. So I've got video already of the stock exhaust. We'll compare that. We're going to compare this full catback exhaust with just the muffler deletes. That way you guys get a good comparison. And these Tomei RB26 cast manifolds are going to be going out to my friend over at Remade USA today. He bought these for his personal car. So these will be shipped out with the packaging that comes from inside the ETS exhaust. Here we go. And look how massive this box is, guys. Like, I wasn't anticipating when I ordered this exhaust the box being like 5 feet long. It's very big. Let's pop it up here. Let's pop it open and let's take a peek at everything. And I want to do the same type of video I did on the last one. I want to show a very good detail of the exhaust. We're going to look at the Y pipe, the mid pipe, the resonator, everything in really good quality detail, so you guys can get the perspective of what it looks like if you were to buy, purchase it. All right, let's get this packaging foam out. Get all this stuff. Big thumbs up to ETS for packaging. If you guys think they do a good job with their packaging, smash the thumbs up down below, please, because they take their shipping seriously. This is some nice heavy stuff, which is, it's nice to know it's not going to show up damage. Here's the mid pipe with resonator. So I'm excited to hear how this sounds. I'm hoping it's not, overly loud. That's why I chose the resonator. It's supposed to give you a little bit deeper tone and kind of keep that, like that cannon sound down. Nobody wants a big, loud, sounding like a coffee cannon going down the freeway. All right, guys, so here's a good look at everything that comes in the box. So you get a couple of graphite gaskets, which these are very nice looking. You get a couple different sizes. You get a nice Vibrant Performance gasket as well. That's a 3-inch. You get a nice big clamp here to connect the Y pipe to the mid pipe, which is awesome. You get a couple of ETS stickers here. If you want to throw those up on the car and represent, you get some mounting hardware as well. It's a packing list, so this is everything that comes inside the box. Info for ETS. If you guys need any ETS stuff, check out the extremeturbosystems.com website. That's their phone number. Or email if you want to contact them. Well, let's get a good peek at the Y pipe. So coming down and looking at this, looks very nice build quality. Very good welds, just like the axle back exhaust. The welds look incredible. Nice, stainless steel OEM look finish, OEM plus. Very good welds up here where these adjoin. Looking at like the inside, this is all cleaned up, so it's going to be, a very smooth transition. No, it's not going to create any turbulence or anything. And then looking at the mounting surface here, where these two are going to mate with that. Look how beefy these V-band clamps are. I'm super excited. I've never installed any V-band stuff before, so I'm pretty excited to see how this, clamps down. You don't have to worry about any gaskets or anything leaking. And this is supposed to be, the cooler, newer way to do stuff, which I've never had the chance. So, pretty excited for this. It looks awesome. So, same thing with this. You got your nice, exhaust hanger, very beefy, very strong. Comes back to this big resonator. And then this is where it's going to mount to the car. Look how thick this mounting flanges here. This is, you know, some heavy stuff. Very nice quality. But let's go pull the stock one off. I don't know if you can see in there at all. But you can see the resonator in there. That should help cut down the sound, help muffle it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys a product link down below if you'd like to order this same exhaust setup for your car. It'll take you right to the ETS website. So I got a lot of comments down below. In the first video I explained that I wanted to hear some of the Boxer rumble. Everybody's like, oh, you realize it doesn't have an unequal length header, which, you know, I talked about in the video. People probably didn't finish watching, so I talk a lot. But yeah, Boxer engine has a distinct tone. It sounds different than an inline engine. So yeah, it may not have the Boxer rumble because you don't have like the weird exhaust note coming out with the unequal length header. But I'm hoping that this is going to give you better flow, better sound. I'm hoping to get like some little pops and stuff from the exhaust. So let's go ahead and pull the stock one off. We'll lay them out, we'll compare them, we'll weigh them, and then do a sound test. So guys, my Skyline GTR is still in the garage, and I was trying to think of the easiest way I can install this, and I came up with the idea I'll just back it out of the driveway onto some ramps and use the curb to get me the height underneath, so it's like a little white trash car lift. And I can come right underneath here and get to everything all by hand, and this only took, you know, a couple minutes to set up. But now, if you guys look in the sky, the rain clouds are coming. I can see or feel a little bit of drops hitting me, so I need to try to get this off as fast as I can. I'm going to show you guys underneath roughly what it looks like. And the install, you guys should be able to handle that yourself, so I'm not going to show a lot about it. So we just have some basic hand tools to remove and install. And let's come underneath. We're going to disconnect the stock exhaust from the rear catalytic converter, which is right here. So you just have a few bolts. You got one right there, and then you got, you know, a nut around the other side. And then last week's video, I'll just throw some video up of installing the exhaust in the back. It's going to be the same process. We're just going to bolt this and bolt this on. I want to show you guys underneath the WRX, which is really cool to me, is looking at all this flat plastic paneling underneath here that Subaru spent all the time to make the entire bottom of the car flat, so you don't have the wind drag. It's like an R34 GTR underneath with all these flat panels, and you can hear the difference when you're inside the car. There's hardly any road noise on it at all. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Rear panels everywhere, just panels that cover everything. You got your actual exposed body here. Nice under, you know, lining on it. But yeah, it's just very good engineering on Subaru's part. And the next thing we're going to install is the J-pipe. I want to do that one later. Not sure if it'll make that big of a difference. It actually looks like a pretty big pipe from the factory. Good look at the underneath of the front like J-pipe and cross member. If you guys are wondering the ride height of the car, it's really not, I mean, it looks like it's high, but it's actually pretty low when you get underneath and you start looking at stuff. But yeah, looking at the stock J-pipe, the diameter of the pipe is actually pretty big, so I would say the biggest restriction is in the stock Y-pipe, where it goes down to like 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. So you guys can see that this is disconnected here. So we'll move along to the back. So like I was saying, guys, the biggest restriction in the stock exhaust is in the Y pipe in the back, which you can see right here. Look how this, you know, this big huge pipe tapers down to this little tiny restrictive like 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches exhaust outlet. So that's your biggest restriction here for your flow. And like this, you can see how that gets narrow. It's very restrictive. So let's pop this off real quick. This is all just the OEM hardware, guys, so I'm going to reuse all the same stuff as long as it fits through, so just make sure you put your hardware aside. So at this point, guys, the only thing holding on this big pipe here is basically this exhaust hanger right up top here. Let me see if I can get you guys a good look at it. Sorry, I don't have a lot of space. But yeah, that guy right there. So let's go ahead and slip that off. All right, I sprayed a little bit of silicone spray on that exhaust hanger. So I went ahead and just remove the driver's side exhaust, just have it hanging so it's out of the way. It's gonna give me enough maneuverability to move this pipe around. I grabbed some channel locks so I can squeeze the exhaust hanger. This would be so much easier to do on a lift versus being stuck on the ground. No space to work. So there we go, you guys can see it there. And you can see it is starting to rain, which sucks. I'm gonna be sitting out here in the rain getting this job done. But let's go inside, let's compare this one versus the stock one. And you guys wonder why I don't have the STI spoiler installed. Every time I have a day off, this is what I get, is it rains. And it's like the middle of June here, and we can't get any summer weather. All right guys, I've got everything laid out on the table here for you so I can give you guys kind of a good comparison. But you guys are probably curious the difference in pipe sizing, so I figured I'd measure real quick for you guys. So the factory exhaust internally is about 2¼ inches. That internal pipe that you guys can see. Let me see if I can get the camera. So like this little smaller pipe where it comes down to, that's 2¼ inches. The ETS one is a true 3" from side to side. There's no smaller diameter. It's a smooth transition all the way in, where this one comes in and then it has a smaller internal pipe. So that's going to help. This does have the resonator, which the stock one doesn't have. But if you look at the piping, it's very, very nice. It's I'd say the welds are nicer than the factory. These are nice too, but the piping is just as good of quality. I'm not sure how thick this is, but you can hear that this piping, it's a thicker gauge steel than the factory, because the material and the thickness of the material is going to create a resonance. So being that this is a thicker gauge versus this, it's not going to sound cheap and tinny. It should give it a nice deep tone. But working our way back, you guys can see very nice how the resonator's welded in, and how it, you know, smooth bends all the way back, all the way to the V band. And yeah, it's nice. And then this is going to make installation easier because it's, you know, 2-piece versus 1. You guys saw me struggling to get the stock one off. But looking at the way the exhaust comes back with the ETS, look how it comes back to a nice smooth bend around, and it's very smooth. It's not going to affect the exhaust flow, versus the stock one. You come down and look, like this bend is a lot, it's definitely like a lot more aggressive bend here, and like this has like little waves in it. I think this is going to be a smoother transition and give you less restriction. So where the axle back ETS exhaust may help with a little bit less restriction, you still have all this restriction in the OEM exhaust, so you're probably not going to really feel much of a horsepower gain until you go full catback, because you guys really need this bigger Y pipe with the bigger outlets. It should also help unlock some of that cool, nice boxer sound you're going to get from the boxer engine, the boxer rumble, guys. Even though it doesn't have, you know, unequal length headers, it's still going to have a distinct boxer tone. Boxer engines sound different than an inline engine. Sounds way better, way different than an RB26. So let's measure the outlets here. I believe these are 2½. Yeah, so we're at 2½ inches on the outlets here. I think these are 1.5 inches. Yeah, these are 1.5 inches. So you have an additional inch. I'll put these side by side for you guys to see the difference. Look how much bigger that is. Way more exhaust flow, and you should get a lot cooler, deeper sound out of it. If you guys like this kind of content, you guys smash the thumbs up button on the video. It really helps the channel. Leave me some comments down below if you like this ETS exhaust and kind of what you think it's going to sound like. As you guys can see, it is raining pretty decent outside. It's completely soaking wet. I'm not going to show you guys the install because I don't want to bring my $4,000 camera out and like have it sitting in the rain and, you know, risk damaging it. But I will do, once I get the exhaust on the car, I'll bring my camera out real quick for you guys so you can kind of see what it looks like underneath, and then we'll start it up. And if you guys haven't already, please smash the thumbs up button on this video. It really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing. I try to do really good in-depth videos on my channel, no matter if I'm working on the RB26 on the Skyline or the WRX stuff. My goal when I make a video is to give you guys the perspective of, if you were to buy this yourself, like what would you see? And I try to show all that stuff through my videos. So if you guys like that type of stuff, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, leave me a comment. And before we throw this on the car, I almost forgot, I need to see how much it weighs. So I'm just going to stand on the scale holding each one, and I'll give you guys the numbers. But I can tell you right now that the ETS one is actually going to be heavier than the stock one, because the piping is physically bigger diameter. The gauge feels thicker as well, so it feels heavier. I'm guessing it's 5 pounds heavier than stock. So with the OEM, I weigh 212.2. ETS is 222.6. I don't remember what the first number is, but I'll put it up on the screen for you guys so we can see the difference. Now keep in mind, guys, that the ETS mufflers with resonators versus the Subaru OEM exhaust was like almost 11 pounds lighter for both sides. So the heavier weight on this, it's basically going to weigh about the same as the stock, you know, if you go full cat back, but it's going to be a full 3-inch back to 2.5 inch, way less restrictive. Way better flow, better performance. You even get nice anti-seize here for your hardware, which is cool. All right, we got a little bit of a break in the rain, so I've got my pipes laid out here. When you install it, you're going to want to install the front section first. And looking at it, you can see the stock one has that big gasket on it. You're going to have to remove that gasket from the factory one, and we're going to put on our Vibrant 3-inch aluminum gasket. It's going to fit perfectly, and then the other exhaust will mate up perfect to it. And I also want to bring my tape measure out. I want to measure this just out of curiosity. Yeah, so just to show you guys, we are sitting at 2.5. Actually, it's more like 2.25 inch out. So yeah, this is definitely very restrictive. Needs to be upgraded to 3-inch. Wanted to show you guys this. So in order to do this by yourself, if you're underneath your car, this is the trick I use. I just used a little bit of a bucket to kind of prop that end up right behind the front cat, and then that allowed me to easily just lift this up and set it up on the hanger, and that's what it looks like there. So everything fits good, plenty of space here, nothing's gonna, you know, be rubbing or anything. Now let's lift our pipe up on here. I ran into an issue underneath, guys. The mounting hardware is too long. I'll show you what I mean, and I'm going to go ahead and use the stuff that came with the axle back from last week, because this will work perfect. You guys can see there's no threads here all the way at the base, so you can't tighten the nut all the way down. So the hardware from last week fits perfect, guys. You can see that's going to work just perfect. Fits right in. Thank God I had that. I'm going to contact ETS, let them know the stuff they put in the box is too long, so other people don't have the same issue. Alright guys, we are all bolted up here, so stock J-pipe, all the bolts are on, gasket fits perfect, everything lines up and looks good. Let's go tighten down the rest of it on the back side, and you guys can see kind of how it's looking. It's looking nice. Alright, we are done. Actually, hold on. The lens is dirty. Alright guys, we are done. So I've got the exhaust fully on. Let's take a peek at it. So we've got the ETS muffler deletes that we installed on the last video for the exhaust, and those fit perfectly, as you guys can see, and how it all smoothly comes in and transitions into the white pipe here. Maintains that 2.5 inch exhaust flow perfectly smooth all the way through. Looks very nice. Fitment is good. Use the stock Subaru hardware. Fits perfect. All the threads match up perfectly. And then for my V-band, I put the V-band nut all the way at the top here, because I wanted to keep that away from the elements so it doesn't rust and stuff, rather than having it underneath. So it's nice, tight and tucked up there. As far as fitment around, like the drive axles, it's perfect. There's plenty of space where you're not going to have issues with heat on the rear boot. So that was a very good design. Looking at like the rear cross member up here, plenty of space all the way around that as well. Try to get you guys in here. Sorry, I have very limited space. And then touching on one thing, when I did the driving review, I thought maybe this thing didn't have solid end links. It does. The only thing that I can think that might feel a little spongy is look how thick those sway bar bushings are. Maybe I'm feeling flexing those. Because when you push this thing around a corner, you can start to feel some really weird handling characteristics when you push it hard. But as far as fitment up around here, fits perfect, looks good. Get you guys a good look here, so you guys can kind of see it here. And yeah, nothing's gonna rub, nothing's gonna touch, plenty of space, looks good. Look at the steam coming off here. It's been pouring down rain and then getting sunny and soaking wet out here. But that will be enough talking. You guys are watching this video because you want to hear the exhaust, so let's do the first startup. Get you guys on the tripod, here we go. First startup, guys, here we go, full catback. Alright, this is from inside the car with the door open, and the car's at idle now, it's warmed up. Let's go out back. To me, this actually sounds deeper and quieter with that resonator than the stock exhaust. It reminds me more of like the STI exhaust, but it has a really nice deep tone, which I really like, and having it quiet, so I'll do a few revs and we'll take it out for a drive. Okay guys, so we're cruising inside the car. This is with the full ETS Catback exhaust, and we are going about 33 miles an hour, 2,000 RPMs. I'll just be quiet and you guys can listen. Slight throttle. That's coasting, you don't really hear it. I'll do a little pull up here when we get on the highway, and you guys, I'll kind of talk about my impressions of what I noticed for horsepower differences here. It's with the windows open. Hear that boxer engine a little bit more. It does sound a little bit quieter over the stock mid-pipe because this does have a resonator, which I like because, you know, I'm a little older. I don't want a car that's real loud. Unless it was like the original boxer rumble. I love the sound of that. Just a normal exhaust to me doesn't sound, you know, as cool as the old Subarus did. But this is idle inside. Can't really hear it. Okay, this is third gear, guys, 3,000 RPMs. So one thing I noticed, guys, is when boost comes on now, before with the old car, you can feel the boost kind of kick, or with the stock exhaust when the boost kicks in, you kind of feel the power flatline. So it comes on, you feel that little surge, and then it's kind of flatline. With this, you feel the boost kick in, the power comes on, and then rather than it just kind of cutting out and just going flat across, I feel like it builds power a little bit more. So it's kind of progressively pushing you back into the seat a little harder, and the car does pull harder. I don't know how much horsepower this adds. It's maybe like, I don't know, 8 to 10 wheel horsepower would be my guess, somewhere around there, because now it does have 2.5-inch piping straight back. Next, I would like to do the J-pipe, and then I want to take off the stock manifold at some point and look at it and see how efficient the flow looks to me, because if ETS creates a smoother, you know, manifold that's more efficient, I'll definitely upgrade that as well. But I'll just let you guys listen. So this is cruising down the freeway, 70 miles an hour. So about 70 miles an hour, 2,500 RPM. It's actually pretty quiet if you guys listen. It's a little bit quieter than the ETS muffler deletes with the stock mid-pipe, because this one has the resonator. So I like the sound of it being a little bit quieter. As far as the tone, it does sound a little bit deeper as well with that resonator too. But let's hop outside of the car. I'll get you guys some kind of rolling shots with a little bit of sound, and we'll end today's video. If you guys like the sound of this ETS exhaust, hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment down below of what you guys think. I'll do a little bit of on-off throttle, so on, off. And I notice in the most upper RPM range, like 5,000 and above to redline, it pulls just, the engine feels a little bit smoother. It sounds like it's a little smoother too in the exhaust note, like it can breathe a little bit better. Those are kind of the only little things I notice. When boost comes on, power feels more linear, like it builds a little bit longer, and then it feels smoother in the most upper RPM range. And the car does noticeably feel faster in the butt dyno as well. The more and more I drive this, like I had the axle back on the car for about 2 weeks, and for my preference, I thought it was a little bit loud on the freeway. This, just driving this, like light throttle, it sounds very nice. It's a very mature exhaust. Like when you step on it, you can hear it, but when you're cruising, you don't have, in my opinion, any drone at all. The axle back with the straight mid-pipe, the stock one, I imagine the ETS one would sound very similar with straight pipe versus no resonator. It's just a little bit too loud, in my opinion, to live with on a daily basis. This, it's quiet. You can hear just a little bit of undertone of that boxer engine. So super boxer engine, you know, is horizontally opposed. It has a distinct exhaust characteristics because the pistons are, you know, firing horizontally like an H pattern versus an inline. So you kind of get a little bit of a deeper exhaust note out of each, you know, cylinder stroke. And you can hear a little bit of it in there. I do miss the boxer engine though on the old ones with the unequal length header, the EJ20, EJ25s. The car sounded so much meaner and so much cooler. But yeah, cruising, really hear much exhaust at all. I just hear road noise, which it sounds almost more like it was stock until you step on it. Then you hear that engine, which you didn't hear with the stock exhaust. You'd step on it and stay quiet. So I think this is perfect in my opinion. It gives you a little bit of sport when you want to, you know, floor it, and then it's, you know, quiet, and it's not gonna, you know, take away from the car. My wife still thinks it's too loud, but before she thought it was, you know, annoying. So I think it's perfect. Let me know what you guys think. And it's kind of hard, I would say, for you guys to really know how it sounds. I've got an external mic. I think it does a pretty decent job at picking up sound, but you really got to hear one in person. Well guys, we are arriving to Pacific Raceways. If you guys haven't been to Pacific Raceways in a while, this is going to be, according to the staff, storage for vehicles and parts and a bunch of stuff. They remodeled and repaved the entire entrance. Now it's 2 lanes in and out, which is really awesome. Well guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you think of the ETS exhaust. As you guys can see, we are at Pacific Raceways for another car event. So if you guys would like to see that content, you guys subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next video.